Welcome, everybody, to the Geek Dad Report versus the NFL. I'm Brian West, and tonight I'm going to be making all my predictions. I'm going to be picking all the games. I'm going to be looking into my crystal ball of awesome picks, and I'm going to pull out all the winners. And I'm going to tell you all the losers for all the games on the Week 4 schedule of the 2017 season. But first, before we get into that, we got to talk a little bit about last week, Week 3, which I shall forever call the week where most of my picks poop their pants. Yes, it was a terrible week for predicting games in the NFL. Week 3 had some of the worst upsets I have ever seen. And I'm telling you right now, if you predicted that Jacksonville would go into London and beat Baltimore 44-7, congratulations, you're better at this than I am. Because I didn't see that coming, and a lot of people did not see it coming. But we're not going to dive into all those games. But I will say, I went 7-9 last week. See that? I drew a special picture for you guys. Look how pretty those letters are. 7-9, which, considering how bad some of the games were, and how wrong a lot of people who predicted the games were, I'm going to take 7-9 as a win. I think that's pretty good. Right there. 7-9. If you bet with me, then you probably still lost. But you know what? I did all right. I'm gonna take that as a big win here. Which brings my overall record for the season to 25-21. So I'm still in the winning column. Still in a big W column. But I got to make sure I get a lot of my picks right this week, or else that column is going to go into the negative, and I'm going to be SOL. So anyway, let's hope that doesn't happen this week. But I don't think it will. I think we're gonna pick nothing but winners this week. As always, I like to give my disclaimer. I am not a professional. I most of the time do not know what I'm talking about. However, I like to watch the NFL. I play fantasy football. I look at all the statistics and I try and just find a certain little something that's going to give me an edge in picking the game. So if you're a big time gambler and you're trying to bet your life savings, do not listen to anything that I have to say, because I, like Jon Snow, apparently know nothing. 7-9. 7-9. Me and Jon Snow. Jon Snow. Who knew Jon Snow was going to be such a great fantasy football player and professional, not professional, NFL game picker. Anyway, that's my disclaimer. If you want to listen to my picks and bet everything you own, well, that's on you. I've already told you that's a terrible idea. Do not do that. Not a professional. Just a fun guy who likes to, talk about sports. That's pretty much it. Anyway, enough of me babbling. On with my predictions. First game up, the Thursday night game. We have the Bears traveling to Lambeau. Ugh, I don't care about Lambeau. I really wish the Bears would just destroy the Packers. That would be amazing. I would love it. Cincinnati, you were this close to being my favorite team of the week, but you weren't because you lost. And you know what? I'm going to pick... This is going to be easy. I'm going to pick the Packers at home. They are really tough to beat. They beat my illustrious, glorious Seahawks at home, so clearly they can beat anybody. The Bears did beat Pittsburgh on the road. Actually, they beat Pittsburgh at home. They beat Pittsburgh. That was a big upset. I did not see that one coming. Still don't know if the Bears are any good or if Pittsburgh was just bad, but they almost beat Atlanta at home. They beat Pittsburgh at home, so clearly Chicago at home is a different team than they are on the road. Like I said, though, they are going on the road to Lambeau, so I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers and his freaking magic 12th man penalty that he seems to get at least 3 times a game. You know what, Aaron Rodgers, Packers fans, I'd like to say that his stupid little quick snap to catch a guy just sleeping, trying to get off the sideline, is the NFL equivalent of a sucker punch. It is wrong, it's tragic, and it should not be allowed in the NFL, but because it is, I guess he gets away with it, and they somehow eke out victories. But whatever. So that's enough of this. We're going Packers in this one. Don't know if it'll be close, but hey, who cares? We're not playing the point spread. We're just saying winners and losers. Next up, we have the London game, the England game of the week. The only game of the week in England. The Saints are traveling to London to play the home team, the Miami Dolphins. If that makes any sense to you, I don't know. Whatever. But, all right, who we got here? The Saints coming off a big victory, keeping themselves out of the O for category. They still did not look that good. Their defense is still an atrocity. But the Dolphins looked terrible last week. They got beat by the freaking Jets. Smoking Jay Cutler, apparently somebody gave him the wrong pipe to smoke, and he was just out in La La Land for that game. That being said, if the Jacksonville game against Baltimore showed us anything last week, the team with the stronger defense and stronger running game is going to win this one. I think the Dolphins have a better running game and a better passing game and a better defense. And since they're the home team, I mean, you can never go against the London Dolphins. So I'm going to take the Dolphins at home. Who knows? It's probably going to be the Saints, but you know what? They're bad. So we're going to go Dolphins. Hopefully Jay Cutler gets the right pipe this time. Next up, we got the Titans playing the Texans. So the Texans are coming off a big almost victory against New England. The Titans coming off possibly the biggest win of their entire history of that franchise, beating my beloved Seattle Seahawks in just a slobber knocker of a game where just people were getting popped in the face. Tensions were running hot. And I mean, this is Seahawks. It's like knocking off Goliath. I mean, congratulations, Titan. You did a good job. But I'm going to have a little fun fact for you. Pretty much every time someone plays the Seahawks, they lose. Look it up. That's facts. I'm not going to give any actual numbers, but I'm just going to say that's a fact. So I'm going to say that the Titans going on the road to Houston are going to be so worn out and devastated from their emotional victory against the Seahawks. And when I mean devastated, I mean their bodies are just devastated. The Seahawks just pounded them. I don't know how they even walked off the field, honestly. Kudos to them. But I'm going to take the Texans, who are surprisingly better than their quarterback is getting. Deshaun Watson is actually giving us something that, for fantasy owners, he's giving us something that we never dreamed anything was possible. Points from a Houston Texan quarterback. But he is causing the offense to drive down the field and helping them score. So, look out. Texas can continue to score on offense. They got a killer defense. So I'm going to take Houston at home against the Titans. Next up, the Jets and the Jaguars. Both winners last week. Very surprising. The Jaguars are kind of legit a little bit. They have blown out a couple people a couple times this year, and their defense, when they're on, look like world beaters. Their offense is manageable. Bortles isn't lighting the world on fire, but he's doing a good job checking down and hitting a few receivers. So the Jets are still bad. You know what? I don't know what happened with the Dolphins, but I still can't believe the Jets won last week. I really thought they were going to go 0 for this season. So I don't care if they're playing at home. Jacksonville is going to go in, and they're going to beat the Jets. Shocker. Home team's losing. Ugh, the Jets. Terrible. Panthers are going to the New England. The other thing that's one of the other surprising things this year is how bad Carolina is. They are 2-1, but they really should be 0-3. Cam Newton. Has anybody found Cam Newton? I don't know where he is. There's a guy masquerading as Cam Newton. He's wearing the big number 1 out there throwing the ball, but he can't hit anybody. The running game is bad. Their defense is all right, but it's kind of old. They have no receivers. They're bad. They're gonna lose. Kelvin Benjamin. Sorry, I'm a little upset here because Kelvin Benjamin was on my team and he fell down and hurt his knee. Bent it really awkwardly. Luckily, no structural damage. So any of you Kelvin Benjamin owners like me can take a big, deep sigh and just go because you're gonna get to play him another day. But he's not gonna be there this week, probably. And they have no other receivers. Greg Olsen out, broken ankle. Whatever. Like it matters. Cam Newton couldn't throw on the ball anyway. So, needless to say, Tom Brady has thrown 605 touchdowns already this season. He's on pace to throw for 5,000 yards by next week. Now, he's on pace for 5,800 yards and like 48 touchdowns. Tom Brady is having a hell of a year, which is great. On my fantasy team. And, I don't know, New England... Tom's on fire. New England's defense isn't very good, but the Panthers' offense is terrible. And Tom Brady is defense-proof at this point. So I'm going to say New England's going to win that one. Plus, they're playing at home. They're not losing again at home this year. The Lions are playing the Vikings in Minnesota. This was the Minnesota Vikings last week was a very surprise win. Casey Keenum, the old 1980s DJ, was serving up some hot tunes and threw for like 400 yards last week. Another game you didn't see coming. Tampa Bay impressed in week 2 and went to Minnesota and just got murdered. Once again, the Minnesota Vikings are playing at home on this one. The Lions had a heartbreaker against Atlanta where they played really tough. But man, Minnesota is just playing really good right now. You know what? I'm going to say Minnesota's going to win this one. The Lions are good. I feel bad for that whole franchise. Golden Tate at the goal line, couldn't get it in. Story of Detroit's life. But unfortunately, I think they're going to have another heartbreaker this week when Minnesota beats them. So next up, we have the Bills are traveling to Atlanta. The Bills, much better defense than people gave them credit for. Offense plugs right along. Tyrod Taylor doing his thing, what he always does. Doesn't score a lot, but hey, they managed to put up 21, 22 points a game, which is more than enough for their defense to shut down the opposing team. That said, the Falcons are really difficult to beat at home. They play in that fast track. They're designed to play on an indoor turf stadium and just spread everybody out and run them deep. So I'm going to say the Falcons are going to win this one. I would not be surprised if the Bills did, but I'm going to say the Falcons at home are taking this one. Steelers and the Ravens, two teams that we realized last week both suck. Big Ben, you almost lost to the Browns, and you lost to Chicago. On the road, you guys are just not a good team on the road. The Ravens, Flacco, you had a quarterback rating of 12. 12. You got benched for Ryan Mallett. That being said, Baltimore's got a better defense. I think they're going to bounce back and play a much better game after that embarrassing loss to Jacksonville and London. The Steelers, I'm just not sure if they're really that good this year. They have some weapons, but none of them are really playing that well outside of Antonio Brown, who just catches everything and scores touchdowns. That's all he does. But I'm going to say Steelers are going into Baltimore and they're going to lose a tight one. Next up, the Bengals and the Browns. Well, the Bengals, you finally showed up at least a little bit and almost beat the Packers in Lambeau. You know, commendable considering how bad you've played. Andy Dalton decided to make an appearance and throw a couple touchdowns. AJ Green finally showed back up. I think the Bengals, they got Vontaze Burfict coming back on defense. Their defense is still really solid. Cleveland, you know what? I picked you to win last week, so, you know, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on... Well, the whole point is you're not going to fool me twice. Cleveland, you're going down at home. The Bengals are going to get their first win of the season. And, more importantly, their head coach will get to keep his job for at least another week. The Rams are on the road, and they're going to play the Cowboys. Cowboys coming off a real big win against the Cardinals this week, the lifeless Cardinals. The Rams, I don't know what team to expect. They play pretty good at home. They went on the road, but then again, they went on the road and beat the Niners in one of the more entertaining games last week. Scored like 40 points. The Cowboys, despite beating a tough defense in Arizona, still really didn't impress. But, you know, they're playing at home. I'm going to say the Cowboys continue their winning ways and beat the... I don't think the Rams can score as many points as they have been. And as good as Todd Gurley's been, I don't think he can keep up his 6 touchdowns in 3 weeks. I just don't see that happening. So I'm going to say Cowboys over the Rams. Next up, what do we have? We have the Eagles going to San Diego. San Diego cannot, for the life of them, buy a win, and the Eagles are coming off a huge win against the Giants. A really close one where the rookie kicker kicks a 61-yard field goal to win it, I believe, in overtime. So I'm going to say that they are so on that emotional high that they're going to come down a little bit this week, and I'm going to take my first upset this week. I think it was my first upset. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. But the first big upset of the week is going to be that the Chargers are finally going to win a close one, and they're going to beat the Eagles at home. Let's see. The Giants, they're heading to Tampa, where Tampa got embarrassed by Minnesota. Well, they didn't get embarrassed there, but Tampa got embarrassed by Minnesota last week. They're going to be looking to prove to the world that they are not a bad team. But then again, the Giants are 0-3 right now. They finally showed some life. Like I said, losing a close one to Philadelphia last week. You know what? Odell Beckham Jr. has kind of woken up, and when he's healthy, he is almost unstoppable, and he makes the rest of that offense really purr and run and do their thing. I'm going to say that the Giants are going to finally get a win, and they're going to go into Tampa, and they're going to beat Tampa there. Probably not going to happen, but, you know, hey, whatever. Like I said, not a professional. Pick with me at your own risk. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers going into Arizona. Here's a battle of two bad teams. I don't know. You know what? Carson Palmer's old and he sucks. Larry Fitzgerald is amazing, and I wish he played for the Seahawks. But alas, he does not. You know what? I'm going to keep saying the Cardinals, they're just going to lose. The Niners aren't going to go 0 for this year, so I'm going to pick the Niners once again. They seem to be the bad team that I keep hitching my wagon to. And if any of you say that's Seattle, those are fighting words. I will meet you outside in the cul-de-sac by the flagpole, not the first flagpole, the second flagpole, at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, the Niners, I have no reason for this other than Carlos Hyde's on my fantasy team. Whoop, whoop. And the Niners can't lose them all, right? Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. And I hate the Cardinals, and they suck. Carson Palmer, you old 49-year-old decrepit has-been of a quarterback. You got no running game. Larry Fitzgerald, a lot of respect for you, though. You're really good. Anyway, 49ers over the Cardinals, because you know what? Why not? Occasionally you got to take a risk. You want to be on top? You want to change those fortunes? Sometimes you got to pick these weird games that you just don't expect either team to win. Next up, the Raiders and the Broncos. The Raiders looked terrible this week against the Washington Native Americans, and they got beat pretty good. Defense didn't play good. Offense didn't play good. And you got to kind of wonder if that was just a brain fart, or if that just is the team that they are. They're just kind of played a lot of weaker teams and been all right. The Broncos, however, have a solid top 5 defense. Did not play well this last week against Buffalo, but Buffalo's type of defense that can stifle Denver's offense. Trevor Siemian had a rough day. And I do not think he will have a rough day again. He plays much better at home. I look for the Broncos to avenge their loss. Well, I guess not avenge. I look for the Broncos to tell everybody they're better than they were last week, and they're going to beat the Oakland Raiders, soon to be Vegas Raiders. There you go. The game of the week, the night game, the best game on the schedule for Sunday that the NFL has said, yep, this is our night game. This is a great game. I mean, who could blame them, though? It's the beloved Seattle Seahawks versus the Colts, the Andrew Luckless Colts. This should be a terrible game. Seattle should win in huge fashion. I would love to see a 35-0 game, a get-right game for the Hawks. Our offense has been inconsistent. This last week against the Titans, we finally had a little bit of offensive explosion. Russell Wilson looked like a second coming of Joe Montana back there just slinging it. However, our defense was non-existent in the third quarter and gave up like 7,000 yards rushing. So hopefully they play much better. Luckily for us, the Colts have no quarterback, no running back, a couple decent receivers, and an old defense. So we should win this hands down. I'm going to say if you're going to have a lock of the week, it's this game. If you are going to bet, don't listen to me. I'm not professional. But if I were going to bet, I'd bet on this game. Seattle. Probably take all the points. I think it's like a 12-point spread. Probably not enough. Anyway, Seattle winning this one. Woo-woo! Getting back in the winter train. I think the Hawks are about to go on like a 6-0 streak. I'm feeling it. Chugga. Chugging along. All right, last game of the week before we get out of here is the Washington Native Americans versus the best team in the NFL right now, the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. Kansas City is really hard to beat in Arrowhead Stadium. They just don't lose a lot, and they look really good. And Kareem Hunt is like on pace to have 10,000 yards rushing this year. I think at the end of the year they're just going to induct him to the Hall of Fame the way he's running. Alex Smith has an offense that's perfectly tailored for him to put up big numbers. Didn't even need him last week. Just defense was good. Didn't need a lot of help. Shut him down. They were great. Yeah, you're right. If you're wondering, like, what's he doing? I forgot who. I didn't move my thing. The Chargers. Thank you. I couldn't remember who they played. My bad. Told you, not a professional here. Kansas City just shut down the Chargers, had their way with them on the road in L.A. You know what? Washington looked much better this week. Kirk Cousins had a typical Kirk Cousins game, but it was pretty much captain check down. Chris Thompson had something like 150 yards receiving on top of like 70 yards rushing. I do believe Kansas City can take that element away, so I think Washington's going to come back down to earth, and Kansas City's going to have another win. They're going to continue to be the best team in the NFL right now, and they're starting to look like they may be the AFC favorites this year. Well, we'll see. We'll see what New England has to say about that. But anyway, those are my picks for this week. if you disagree or you'd like to give me your own picks, I've had a lot of people who say they want a guest spot on the show and have a few picks. I'm always open for that. Hit me up in the comments section. Let me know who your picks are and who you guys got this week. And if you agree with me, the Seattle Seahawks are the most glorious team in the whole NFL. Yeah. Anyway, you can follow me at BrianWest53. You can find us on the GeekDadReport.com. You can find us at the Geek Dad Report on Facebook, Twitter, not on Instagram. But like I said, hit us up. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think. And stay awesome. Watch the NFL. Go Hawks! I'm going 16-0 this week on my picks. I can feel it. Till next week, guys.